we have a special guest from Pakistan. He was former head of ISI. Do you accept that Pakistan has created Taliban?
No, we did not create Taliban. The Taliban came up because of the infighting amongst the Mujahideen when the Pakistani ISI decided to support the Taliban. They were, chasing out the Mujahideen. They had gotten rid of people like Hikmat Yar and Ismail Khan. I mean, they were very big names.
They helped you, and did you directly support these leaders in Afghanistan to work for you or anything else?
I think you're right, actually. They helped us, or we helped them to resist the Soviet occupation. I just took two names. I forgot the Khunzada in Helmand. I forgot, so many people who were at Kabul regime now at that time, the Rabbanis and the Mohammedis and a lot of others. We helped them all.
How about the northern leaders like Ahmad Shah Massoud?
Ahmad Shah Massoud, I met him, one of the very few people, but not only few from Pakistan, but few heads of the ISI who met him, but I also supported him. He was a very potent commander. He was the only one at that time amongst the Mujahideen who thanked us openly and said, "You helped me. I am now quite satisfied. I'll go back and try to do whatever I can."
Did you use these leaders as an agent or ally?
There is no question about it. For us, Afghanistan, not only for me personally, but for us, Afghanistan was the most important neighbor that we had. It used to defend our borders. When we have wars with India, 65, 71, I'm a veteran of both, and we knew, even as young officers, we knew that Afghanistan, Kabul had sent a message, you don't need to keep any troops on the western borders. We were sure there is no problem here. You go and fight your war within.
Hello and welcome to Outlook. Today we have a special guest from Pakistan. He was former head of ISI and also he was ambassador in two countries, Germany and Saudi Arabia. Mr. Droni, thanks for giving us this opportunity to have you in Outlook.
Welcome.
In the beginning, I'm going to ask you, Mr. Droni, do you accept that Pakistan has created Taliban in 1990s?
No, we did not create Taliban. The Taliban came up because of the infighting amongst the Mujahideen. Since they were not getting their act together, a group arose. They took care of the Taliban in due course, as Mujahideen in due course. And since this group seemed to be in a position to re-stabilize, reunite Afghanistan in Pakistan, that was the impression, and that is when the Pakistani ISI decided to support the Taliban. After they were born, after they had proven that they were a force, they were a very popular, potent force. They were, chasing out the Mujahideen. They had gotten rid of people like Hikmat Yar and Ismail Khan. I mean, they were very big names. Also in Saraan, the powerful commander, he also could not withstand the Taliban. And that is the time, because that was a policy in Pakistan. And that is the second policy. The first policy, we'll come to it. And the second policy was anyone who can reunite Afghanistan, we would support that. We supported the Mujahideen, not only because of the Soviets, because we thought that there was a group that was all-inclusive. It did not turn out to be very inclusive. But in case of Taliban again, one thought that this was the one who will take care of them. And my own assessment was that if 9/11 had not happened, in due course, the Taliban would have taken care of the Northern Alliance, and that is the time when Pakistan would not have to support them anymore. or more than what one supports a neighbor. So this answer, just to cover that part, who created Taliban and why were they supported?
I think you have mentioned two political leaders' names like Hekmatyar and Ismail Khan. They helped you, and did you directly support these leaders in Afghanistan to work for you or anything else?
I think you're right, actually. They helped us, or we helped them to resist the Soviet occupation. I just took two names. I forgot Khunzada in Helmand. I forgot, so many people who were in Kabul regime now at that time, the Rabbanis and the Mohammedis and, and a lot of others. We helped them all for one simple reason, that they would get the foreign forces out of Afghanistan.
Right.
That was the idea, that as long as the foreign occupation is there, some Afghans will continue to fight and the debris will fall on Pakistan. So even if there was no Taliban and no Mujahideen and someone else, let's say the Northern Alliance had resisted, we would support that. This is the number one policy that Pakistan has ever since.
Right. How about
Pakistan was invaded.
right?
So you're right, we supported them, but when they started fighting with each other, instead of creating a stable government in Kabul, we did not go against them, except that the Taliban were the ones who removed them. And Pakistan had no role except to provide any help to the Taliban so that a reunified Afghanistan could come back.
How about the northern leaders like Ahmad Shah Massoud? He was the leader of Panjshir resistance and North resistance. Did you support him as well?
Ahmad Shah Massoud, I met him, one of the very few people that not only few from Pakistan or few heads of the ISI who met him, but I also supported. He was a very potent commander. He was the only one in at that time amongst the Mujahideen who thanked us openly and said, "You helped me. I am now quite satisfied. I'll go back and try to do whatever I can." The problem arose much later. It was not because of any Indian support or something. When the fighting started between the AG who went and Rabbani's government and Hikmatyar, and at that time also, there was no opposition to Ahmad Shah Massoud. I think the problem arose because there was a perception, and I'm talking about, I was no longer there, and Massoud, as long as he lived, he never said anything bad about me, or his party never said anything bad about me.
Right.
And after the Soviets had gone, they were now fighting in over Kabul. Rabbani on one side and Hikmatyar on another side. So this was going on. And that is when I believe that some of my successors, for any number of reasons, were trying to bring them together. No, it was not only Peshawar Accord. Islamabad Accord took place 6 months later, so that Hikmat could also be a part of it, all the big parties to be a part of it. But Hikmatyar was not allowed in because Ahmad Shah kept him out of Kabul. So the fighting between just these two individuals, destroyed Kabul. Mm-hmm. And I think the problem occurred, both of them, not only Ahmad Shah Massoud, but also Hikmatyar. He also got annoyed because the Pakistan was not supporting him at that time. Because that's why, as I said, this was my successors, whose policy was that if you are going to fight amongst each other, then we're going to have your hands off. But there is also, very honestly, there was a perception, as I was talking about, that Pakistan was more in support of the Pashtuns. Mm-hmm. It is quite possible, but Generally in the Pakistan policy, the ethnic card did not matter because the party that was best supported from us, and I know that because at that time one knew how the funds or support was being distributed, was Professor Rabani's party, which
Right.
had very powerful, which had both all ethnicity, including the Pashto. So they were just the party that got the maximum support. Hikmat Yar was also a very large party, but he uh, got annoyed with us because we were not supporting him to the extent he wanted.
Did you use these leaders as an agent or ally?
There is no question about it. For us, Afghanistan, not only for me personally, but for us, Afghanistan was the most important neighbor that we had. It used to defend our borders. When we had wars with India, 65, 71, I'm a veteran of both, and we knew, even as young officers, we knew that Afghanistan, Kabul had sent a message, you don't need to keep any troops on the western borders.
Mhm.
We were assured there is no problem here. You go and fight your war within. So this was that attitude that Afghans had. It didn't matter who was ruling Kabul, but for Afghans, Pakistan was important because of their own reasons. This is the place where they could come, which was a window to the outside world. They used to get some people could come and work here, but they also defended our border. So for us, the most important neighbor, once again, let me say,
Mhm.
was not India, China, or anyone, but Afghanistan. Because of historical reasons, because of geographical reasons.
Right. Do you believe the Taliban is still as a strategic tool for Pakistan in regional politics?
No, they will never do that. Afghans never do that. Afghans do things on their own. But the contribution of all the Afghans, but especially the Taliban, is that when they get rid of the Western alliance, the region now could work out its policies on its own. I know that before the American withdrawal, the Pakistanis, Iranians, Central Asians, Chinese, Russians, perhaps even Turks, I'm not so sure about that they said that after the Taliban have gotten rid of NATO, of the Western military, we will try and work together on Afghanistan. No, they haven't worked together. After they're gone, we are all on our own. But at least the removal of the Western forces from Afghanistan provided the region as an opportunity not only to work together, but create some sort of a strategic alliance. So the Taliban, anything that they would do, or the Afghans, anything that they would do, would not be for Pakistan, but for themselves and for the region. And that's a big stabilizing factor. Let me just quickly add, I think the country that I blame the most after the Soviet withdrawal, after the American withdrawal, is Pakistan. We haven't. We just created certain other, artificial crises between Pakistan and Afghanistan. Otherwise, there was no need to it. It was going to work out all right. We only had to know and to understand how Afghans work, not only the Taliban. I can elaborate it if you want.
Why does international community continue to accuse Pakistan of supporting Taliban? Is the Pakistan supporting Taliban now, or they stopped it?
I do not know what an international community means, frankly. And I also do not know if anyone is blaming us. In fact, they're very happy. Some of them are very happy that we have this problem with the Taliban regime. But all of them, the Americans and all the others, Indian, everyone is now working or approaching, accessing, trying to win the Taliban regime. Because Afghanistan is important. It's not about Taliban. Afghanistan is important for their regime. But I haven't heard anyone accusing us. We accuse them, our own regime, for not supporting the Afghanistan government. We are not talking about Taliban government. the Afghan government we have to support. We're not doing that. But I haven't heard any criticism against Pakistan on supporting or not supporting from outside, supporting or not supporting the Taliban.
Do you believe that the Taliban is representative of people of Afghanistan or not?
No, not entirely. They are the one, they won the war, so they are there. As far as the representation is concerned, even the AIG, that has 7 parties, did not represent Afghans totally. And that is why one was trying to add this faction, that faction. The Afghan people whom they would support would be only decided if we had, let's say, I'm talking of hypothetically because there is no other way. Right now, they won, they are there. Today we had a very big Norwegian government. People say, what type of a government they would? So that is, to my mind, the Afghan solution. It's not likely to happen. So Afghan, the Taliban actually are out of character with Afghan. The Afghanistan that I know is not a centralized place where, Habatullah gives an order and everybody follows. It's a very tribal, it's a very split, it's a very, that type of a diverse society where people may owe some sort of an allegiance to Kabul, Ba'ath is possible. But they want to run their own, run their affairs in their own way because it's a diverse place, it's a tribal society. There are so many different types. So that is one big problem with the Taliban, that if they want to make a unitary state of Afghanistan, it's not going to last, I'm sure, 2 or 3 years now, another couple of years. It will split apart.
Right.
Split apart. No, the regime will split apart, not the country.
Right. You said something about Mullah Haibatullah, and I'm going to ask you, is he still alive or he died? Our previous NDS head, his name is Rahmatullah Nabil, maybe you know him. He claimed that in 2014, U.S. troops has killed Mullah Haibatullah inside the Pakistan. Do you accept this?
Oh, I don't know. I have no idea at all. I've not known about anyone getting killed and, things, unless they are brought to us, I would not know. I'm no longer in that position. I left that more than 30 years ago. But, for example, when Mullah Umar, passing away, that news came. I understood it. I very easily understood that the Taliban were trying to hide it. Maybe the ISI also knew, but they were trying to hide it because Umar's personality was a unifying factor for the Taliban. My guess, my assessment. So one did not know about that for 2 years. About Habatullah, I don't think that he's gone. I believe he is the one who's running the show. And some of his policies are those hardline policies that are creating a problem. It's not many factions in Taliban regime are for a little more liberalism, girls' education, something else. But Habatullah is probably because he is, he's ruling over a very diverse Taliban, but not a monolith. There are many factions. So the hardliners, moderates, there may even be, others, the third type, the enlightened ones. But to keep them together, that is Habitullah's first job. He doesn't want them to split, or some of them go and join Daesh, for example. So it must be his compulsion. But I'm still not, in the favor of whatever strict policies Habitullah is enforcing in Afghanistan, especially about women and girls' education. That's not productive. And only to keep the unity, you don't want to, deny a generation of people of education and work, because that's something that Afghanistan needs very badly now. I'm not worried about what the outside is there. That means nothing.
Yeah.
Inside, what is good for Afghanistan, that I'm talking about.
As you know Taliban better than me, there is two powerful group inside the Taliban. One of them is an Haqqani network, and one of them is in Kandahar. They are in power in Kandahar, and they have really serious competition with themselves. Who will be the future leader inside the Taliban?
Going to be very difficult for me because I do not know how it is working out. It's quite possible that Haqqanis being, a very old group, very experienced group,
Mm-hmm.
and located where they are. I think that is also going to be important, that they may get an edge. It's possible. But I'm not betting on anyone. I do not know how far is the split, how much the Haqqanis get support. The Haqqanis policies to me sound a little more reasonable than the Kandhari policy.
Right.
My family comes from,
Which policies? Which policies? Could you mention?
I mean, the way accommodation of others, not exclusive Taliban, but other ethnic groups also should be accommodated. They're more experienced. I think they are also the ones who do not agree with the Mullah Habatullah's policies on girl education and so on. It's quite possible that Khalid Rahman got killed by one of the people from Kandahar. It's possible. I do not know. These are only those things that one hears, but I have no firm evidence of this. So it is possible that they will get an edge, but it is not, inevitable because it's a very complex place, and unless Haqqanis get support from many others, I would have asked them. They're not asking me, but I would have suggested that under these circumstances, why don't you try and accommodate more of the non-Pashtuns? Because they're also an important part of us.
Does Haqqani network has still supporting get supporting from Pakistan?
No, I don't know about that. Frankly, I will not say that because I do not know about that. There may be a sympathy, but right now, the policy seems to be not supporting any faction. If anything, as I've already said, that those people who are now trying to, come up with a new policy of unrefugees back and so on, I am not in favor of that. I don't think that should happen. But if anything has to happen, we should not be seen partisan for one group or the other. Right now, there's a Kabul regime, we support the Kabul regime.
Right.
Because that would be otherwise would be counterproductive if we do anything else.
What's the difference between Taliban, Afghanistan Taliban, and TTP?
There is no parallel in that. The Afghan Taliban fought the foreign forces to liberate them. TTP did support them at some stage, but the TTP was created because of our policy of seem to be, the allies of the United States. And that is where the TTP started, the first group. You are now on favor, you are now supporting the Satan, the Shaitan, the devil against our brothers in Afghanistan. But that was the
who is the Divan?
Devil is the United States, of course. And for them, they've made it very clear that you can't be on the side of the infidels. If you are on the side of the infidels, that you go to rebel. That was the first group of that you And after that, it, proliferated. 40 different groups came up. Some of them supported from outside. Some of them had a different agenda. Some of them anti-American. Some of them probably an ideological agenda. Now, once after this action, they went back. And they were there in Afghanistan. They supported the Taliban in their vision. And now, the latest problem is again misunderstanding of the Pakistanis as to how the Taliban would work. If you ask them, return them, they will not. People have sought asylum there. It's the Pashtun Bali. They will give them the asylum. They're not going to tell them to get out. They're going to not round up them and hand it over to us. Their point is very reasonable. Once they cross the border, they are your people. You're a big country, big army. Please take care of them. Why are you asking us this thing? And here, people, since these are people, some of these instruments are so inefficient and not understanding the Taliban, what you are asking them, will not be able to do it. They've created, this theater. This created unnecessary this friction with the Afghans, with the Taliban. That is actually the main problem right now. TTP is not a problem. We know how to take care of the TTP. It's coming.
And it's
And
not
once it comes, you know how to do. If you don't want to go through the trouble, because treating with military solution is against our own people, against insurgents, is not the answer. It's a political problem always. So handle the whole thing politically and not by the force of arms. So that is the big mistake.
And you mean the TTP is not a high threat for Pakistan national security?
Should not be. Such a big country. It's a mighty country, mighty armed forces, 5, 6, 7, 8,000 people of your own who are alienated, who are angry, who may be militant, able to take care of them. That's my point. There are so many, ways to take care of them. Military is just one of them. But there is intelligence, how intelligence works, how politics works, how dividing them works, how meeting some of their genuine requirements. I mean, some people must be having some genuine requirements, like the PTM. They have their problems. There are people, they can be alienated, they can be angry, they can even be misled. But the problem of taking care of them remains on the state, and that is us.
You said something about United States, as you mentioned it, the United States is evil for Pakistan government and people. So how does Pakistan balance its relationship with the Taliban while managing pressure from the United States?
I don't know how they're doing it now, but in my time and the times after that, I've known for some time, except for the initial periods of Musharraf, we could take care of the pressure very easily. In fact, nowadays there is no pressure. What pressure are we talking about? They are not pressurizing us to do something in Afghanistan. They may be playing those games all the time. You will not have this Iranian pipeline. You will not. They will sometimes come up with your missiles now can hit the United States. They can continue to do that. I have known that for a long, long time. We always did our stuff, whatever suited us, and the Americans accepted that. I can give you certain examples. Nuclear is one. Our relation with China was another one. 20 years of Afghanistan, I know. They didn't like when we continued to have our relationship with Iran after, even though they took that hostage thing, in the 80s. But we just continued to follow our own policy and it was accepted. And nothing happened. Even if something is to happen, you take care of that because that is good. Right now, if anyone thinks that because of that pressure, we will do something, then either we are wrong if we do that, or I think there are people, perception believe that we are doing it because of the pressure. So this is a very complex game, but the crux of the whole thing is, bottom line is, I don't think there is a pressure that we cannot withstand. Oh, there are statements that are made. They are made all the time. We also make statements. Delhi should get rid of so and so forth. But that statement is not going to be effective till we have the capability of doing something about it.
And you believe the United States government is playing double game between superpowers and use Pakistan?
That's all right. That's all right. I actually believe that the country should play double or triple games because in diplomacy or statecraft is not about a single linear line. You can, making a statement in favor of one, but also acting against it. It happens all the time. So this double game by anyone It's up to us to see what the actual policy is. And that is why, there are two terms used. What is the policy and what is the posture? You may posture, we are all want to be friends, but you may be working against some of your neighbors. It's possible. So this double triggerable case, I do not mind. Let them go there. But as far as the United States is concerned, it cannot be interested in stability in our area unless there is instability in our region. The United States cannot play that type of role, selling weapons, being intermediary, playing one against the other, trying to keep the region in turmoil before, God forbid, for their side, if we all come together, it's bad news for the United States. So that is what they will do. But after saying that, I'll also say that the onus of countering it, the onus of coming together, is on us, on the region. Blaming the others is not going to be very helpful. They do it, they're interest.
As you have enough experience in diplomatic departments, if you have two choices to choose one superpower, would you like to choose United States or China?
China, of course.
Your close neighbor.
That's a decision that has been, or that's a conclusion that reached a long time ago. It's our neighbor, number one. This way of operating is different. It does not, lay out any conditions you will not do, you will not do. You see, what is it that we can do? If you think that we can establish CPAC or an industry, we can do that. So there are no conditions. But right now, this question actually does not even need to be asked. Most of the people, including India, they know that they're not going to bung their boats with China because of that trade and because of the neighborhood. And the Chinese influence has now gone so much deep into Africa, Latin America. But right now, in our region, Afghanistan is just one example. Iran is another one. All of them are looking for some cover from China and Russia so that they can withstand the so-called evil influence of the West. And the Western influence is legal. Let's not make any, bones about it, because it's not in our interest. Whereas the regional interest of the Eastern part can be in ours.
Indians are dealing with the Taliban inside of Afghanistan. Is it a high threat for Pakistan relationship with the Taliban or not?
No, you see, we have to, as I've said, that we have to deal with the Taliban as the government of Afghanistan. We can go ahead and recognize them, and nothing will happen. But people here have, they get cold feet. They think that something is going to fall. Nothing. Someone else like India or United States or China will recognize them, and then we'll say, well, we should have been the first. Cheating our neighbor, whoever rules Afghanistan, and that has been our history, you have relationship with that particular regime, and you should be doing it as a good neighbor who have interests, who have common interests in so many ways, not only strategic, but also economic, also humanitarian. And you should do these things, this policy with the neighbors.
Right.
Even with India, Pakistan tried a couple of times, but India is a different ballgame. With the neighbors, if you don't live together, you're going to be taken care of one by one.
What steps has Pakistan taken to help the Taliban gain international legitimacy?
Nothing. I don't think they've done anything. As I said, the best thing that we could do is we go ahead and recognize that. I think so many people might come after us, but we have not done anything at all so that the international community recognizes. International community understands, I think, the importance of Afghanistan more than the people in Islamabad. So no steps have been taken. In fact, even the first step has not been taken, and that is that we go ahead, recognize this regime, and let's see what happens.
What role do the Taliban play in trade between Pakistan and Afghanistan?
Oh, well, the trade takes place all the time. If you don't do it officially, the unofficially, the trade has always taken place. Call it smuggling, call it duty free. But that type of a trade, I think, has gone on for centuries, especially considering that the Afghans, over a period of time, they know that their resources within are less, so they either get it from outside or they smuggle these from outside or they transport them from outside. So that trade has gone on forever. Coming in the way, that is again the problem I have with my own government, that once the trade takes place, don't stop those conveys because there are sometimes fresh vegetables, tomatoes, they will rot. People will suffer. And you think that because of your politics you are having, you're doing the right thing. No, that trade must not stop.
Yep.
That helps us take care of the needs of the traders, the poor people who depend on this.
As a former ISI director, what do you think about Afghanistan resistance troop? They will win or they can't do anything else in Afghanistan?
Afghanistan will remain for a very long time, if not forever, because I've seen that our stability, one may say that there are wars, there are inside fighting, but all factions of Afghanistan that I know, Tajiks, the Uzbeks, the Hazaras, the Pashtuns, and so on and so forth.
Yep.
The first priority for them is that we must remain part of the country. And that's already a very big plus. So Afghanistan will be there long after so many other countries have gone. And so I think I have great faith in the future of the place which shall be called the crossroads of history. This is the where the history comes together. This is where one sees, historical movements taking place. They will be there.
Right. And they will win. You believe that?
So far, I've always found that people with that type of resilience, with that type of patience, Afghans, Iranians, and such people, they always.
What role do the Taliban play in regional stability and instability?
I don't think the Taliban have done anything outside of Afghanistan that should be the concern of the regional country. They have never tried to destabilize Pakistan. They never interfered in anything that we were doing. I don't think they played any role in either in the north or the south. Yes, indirectly one can say because you get involved with Afghanistan and you may have certain ramifications. But the Afghans have never done anything outside there ever since I've known, especially, the raids that Ahmad Shah Abdali used to undertake, that's a long past, it's 250, 270 years back. But right now, ever since Afghanistan was created, I find that the Afghans remain, inwards looking. They look towards Afghans. But if there is someone who comes and interferes, then of course there are other game that they play, one against the other. They resist. They will side with some people. Or some of us, we are not all of us are not resistors. Some of us also collaborate with the outsiders, and that creates a problem. But
Right.
going out of the country to do something that the Afghans have never done.
In the end, Mr. Drani, what's your message for Afghanistan people, especially young generation, that they are living in outside of Afghanistan and they are preparing themselves to take over Afghanistan power from the Taliban again in the future?
For the youngsters, the problem is, message is the same, whether it is Afghans or the Pakistanis or anywhere. Look, these people, the governments, they have played their game, not always very successfully, not always very wisely. The governments consist of certain mafias and interest groups, so don't follow that. You just continue to learn your own business, and that is, if you are a student, study hard, try to look. But in due course, your first duty is always to your own country. And for that, you have to be well prepared and not. So, as far as politics is concerned, it must come very late. Not right now. You don't have any business. You do not know enough. I don't think that I have known enough about politics in Pakistan. You do not know enough. First, you have a capability. First, you have developed some sort of a faculty. And that then you start thinking, how are you going to make use of it for the interest of your country? And I'm not going to begrudge if anyone says, in my country, these people are not welcoming young men, so I'm going to go to the United States or Europe. By all means, do. That choice should also be yours. No one is going to, at least I'm not going to say, just stay there regardless of what happens. But initially, the first priority is your own people and your own.
Thanks for your time, Mr. Droni, and for joining us today in Outlook. Have a great day.
Welcome. Welcome. Take care.